Cooking for one after 60? These 9 tips make life so much easier. Age is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Mark Twain. Welcome back, my friend, to Golden Years Wisdom Channel, the place where we talk about living fully, no matter how many candles are on the cake. If today's story touches your heart, please hit that subscribe button, tap like, and leave a comment below, telling us where you're watching from. Your voice matters here, and this community grows stronger every time you join the conversation. Now, let's begin. Cooking once, savoring all week. The freezer becomes a friend. There comes a quiet morning when a woman named Rosalind, 83 years young, stands in her kitchen and realizes the old rules no longer apply. She no longer needs a pot big enough for a crowd, yet she still craves variety, comfort, and choice on her plate. So she begins cooking once and freezing many, turning a single afternoon of chopping and simmering into a week of small, satisfying surprises. Soup one night, stew the next, a spoonful of chili on a lazy Thursday. Rosalind says her freezer feels less like an appliance and more like a quiet promise that she'll always be taken care of, even by herself. Choosing what truly lasts, letting go of the giant bag. For decades, a man named Walter filled his cart with oversized bags of greens, because that was simply what families did. Retirement changed the math, but not the habit, until the day he opened his refrigerator to find wilted lettuce staring back like a forgotten promise. That single moment taught him something gentle yet powerful about honoring where he actually is in life. Now Walter chooses cabbage, carrots, and small heads of lettuce that wait patiently for him instead of rushing toward the trash. He says the vegetable drawer finally matches the size of his life, and somehow that feels like peace. The quiet wisdom of the freezer bread that never goes to waste. A retired schoolteacher named Miriam once tossed out more heels of stale bread than she cared to admit, each loaf a small reminder that shopping for one takes practice. One evening, almost by accident, she slid half a loaf into the freezer, and everything changed. 2 slices at a time, toasted fresh whenever she wanted, became her new ordinary miracle. Miriam laughs now, saying bread finally learned to wait for her instead of the other way around. It's a small shift, she says, but small shifts are often where real freedom quietly begins. Buying only what you'll truly enjoy, right-sizing the refrigerator. There was a time when a gentleman named Harold poured milk for grandchildren, guests and every recipe imaginable, never once glancing at an expiration date. Alone now, he noticed the same large carton sitting untouched, a quiet symbol of a life that had gently changed shape. Choosing a smaller carton felt strange at first, almost like admitting something, until it simply felt honest. Harold says his refrigerator finally reflects who he is today, not who he used to shop for. And there is something deeply comforting, he adds, about a home that fits the life you're actually living. Trading takeout for 10 minutes of joy, discovering simple is enough. Evenings used to end with a phone in hand and a sigh, as a woman named Colette convinced herself cooking for one wasn't worth the effort. Delivery bags piled up faster than she liked to admit, each one a little more expensive than the last. Then she discovered that scrambled eggs, a baked potato, or a bowl of soup from the freezer could bring dinner together in minutes. Colette says she no longer orders out of exhaustion because she finally trusts herself to feed herself well. There is quiet pride, she says, in a meal made by your own 2 hands. Ingredients that work overtime, the joy of versatility. A retired mechanic named Bertram used to buy a whole bottle of something exotic for one recipe, then watch it gather dust for months afterward. Somewhere along the way, he began asking a better question. Not what does this recipe need, but what can this ingredient become? A single rotisserie chicken now stretches into soup, tacos, and a simple salad by week's end. Bertram calls it his quiet victory garden of the kitchen, where nothing goes to waste and everything has a purpose. He says the secret to less waste was never restriction. It was simply better questions. A simpler kitchen, a lighter heart letting go of the extra. Behind a cabinet door, A woman named Delphine once kept 11 gadgets she'd used exactly once, each a small monument to good intentions. One quiet Sunday, she cleared them all away, keeping only a skillet, a saucepan, and a sharp knife she trusted completely. What she found on the other side of that cabinet was something unexpected. More joy, not less. Delphine says an empty counter somehow makes room for a fuller heart. And cooking finally feels like comfort instead of clutter. Simplicity, she often says, was never about having less. It was about making space for what mattered. Shopping with purpose, living with peace, the question that changes everything. For years, a man named Augustin wandered grocery aisles, hoping inspiration would strike somewhere between the cereal and the canned soup. It rarely did, and his refrigerator often paid the price in forgotten, wasted food. Everything shifted the day he began asking one simple question before every trip. What will I actually eat this week? Augustin says his shopping list grew shorter, his waste grew smaller, and strangely, his joy grew larger. He no longer shops for the family he used to feed, but for the beautifully ordinary life he's living now. A gentle closing thought. Cooking for one was never really about smaller portions or shorter grocery lists. It has always been about honoring the life you're living today with patience, creativity, and a little bit of grace for yourself. Every wilted lettuce leaf, every forgotten gadget, every carton of milk poured down the drain taught these seniors something invaluable. That adapting is not loss. It is wisdom in motion. So tonight, take a moment to look at your own kitchen. What is it trying to teach you about the life you're living now? Share your story in the comments below, and let another senior watching this video feel a little less alone tonight. We rise best, dear friend, when we lift each other. If this story touched you, please like this video, subscribe to Golden Years Wisdom channel, and share it with someone who needs a little encouragement today. We'll see you in the next story. It's never too late to be what you might have been. George Eliot.